What's up, guys? TeachMeGrappling. Got 4 people waiting on me. What's going on? Hope you guys are having a good night. Let me see if anybody out there? Anybody out there? Right now, let's see. The title of tonight's live is going to be Wrestling versus BJJ Talk. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. Probably among other things. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Is this coming through? All right, we're growing. We got 8 people. We got 2 likes. All right, so you can hear me. Good morning in Germany. All right, Fabian. All right. Okay, guys. Well, first, let me start out by saying I'm having a little bit of problems with my computer tonight. This is actually on my iPhone right now. What's up? We got Slovakia in the house. Germany. So, Australia's in the house. What's up, Common? So let me start out by saying I had a video prepared for tonight, but my computer's having some problems with uploading, and I think it's because I've uploaded way too many Teach Me Grappling videos to my laptop. So my laptop is now locked. It's not working. I do have an external hard drive that I normally move my videos over to, and then I delete them from my laptop after I've moved them. But there's just so much junk on there. I need to do some updates, and it's just, I don't know. I'm not really that good at computers, and it's locked. So anyway, so why are old people like Evander, 58-year-old Evander, fighting, huh? Yeah, I know, it's crazy. That was nuts to see. Very, very sad to see someone so high a level just get totally destroyed, dismantled in such a short amount of time. Although, I mean, from the MMA point of view, it was kind of nice that, the MMA guy won. We've had quite a few, I guess, MMA guys lose to boxers. You had the Conor McGregor loss, and then you had the Ben Askren loss, and then, Tyron Woodley not finishing. It's kind of like a loss. MMA is just not doing so well against boxers, but, we got one. Yeah, it was a 58-year-old former multiple-time world champ, getting knocked out. But, Vitor's not that young. I mean, he is TRT Vitor, but Vitor's got to be like my age. He's got to be in his 40s. He was smaller, but 58-year-old Evander, a little too old. So, okay, he's 44. Yeah, that's what I thought. So, anyway, I guess he's a little bit older than me. I'm 43. So, anyway, guys, what I wanted to talk about was wrestling versus BJJ. And the reason why, I'm sure all of you guys have probably seen my video with my high school kid, Trent, who is no longer a high school kid. And the video with him taking on one of my purple belts named Mike. So, there was so many comments. That video has done so well. I don't follow it really, really close, but I know it's over like 500,000 views. So that video really did well. That thing went viral for me. That's viral when it hits over 500,000. So, that video, um, it's it's not perfect. I mean, like, how do you make a perfect video? You know, if I was to make a perfect video, I would have to take a jujitsu guy who's never wrestled and he's been training for the exact same amount of time as a wrestler who's never done jujitsu, and they both are identical, like identical twins, identical weight, identical amount of time training, but except training in the other art. And so, like, so many people, I'm just gonna vent a little bit on the comment section. There's tons of comments, and there basically this is what I saw. There's a whole lot of jujitsu guys that were really, really upset. They were really upset that the jujitsu guy didn't do so well. Therefore, shit talking about my purple belt, saying he's not a real purple belt. He was an embarrassment. He was not up to par. He just, any normal purple belt, any good purple belt would just tap out the wrestler, over and over. But, yeah, so right there we got Jeff. Jeff just commented and said, nobody even knows how good those guys are. Exactly. I mean, it's really laughable from my point of view. Obviously, like, a lot of people thought that the wrestler did better because, he did get caught in a heel hook pretty quick once we opened it up to submissions. But besides that heel hook, he was able to kind of get out of a lot of the submissions. The submission attempts. There was a guillotine, maybe postured out of a triangle. So, and it's funny because there's a lot of wrestlers out in the world, and any jiu-jitsu school you go to, you're gonna see a wrestler. And I'm not trying to say that I have the greatest wrestlers in my room. That's not what I'm saying. But first off, let me say this. People need to understand that there's a difference between a guy that wrestled in high school to a guy who's a good wrestler in high school to how about a guy who is one of the greatest wrestlers in his weight class in the state of California. Like, we won the state championship this year, and there was two guys that weren't in our. Yeah, so Jeff, that my kid won the state. Now, granted, it wasn't the official state because two of the wrestlers that were in our weight class, that were both top 10 ranked in the nation, didn't want to show up. Obviously, it wasn't. If you're ranked top 10 in the nation, why are you going to show up to the COVID state, right? The unofficial state championship. But we pretty much we didn't have a tough match in that tournament. I mean, the closest match might have been 4-0, and it was really us being probably too conservative. My kid has wrestled in multiple national tournaments this past year, and he's been top 3 at almost all of them. Actually, no, we were unofficial 7th at probably the biggest national tournament we went to, at the Arizona. Man, I don't even remember what it was called. Arizona Bash or something like that. You know what? I don't remember the name of it. It was in Arizona, but it was top quality kids. I mean, there was multiple kids there. I think it was it Kenny Monday's son was there. Kane Valencia, the kid from Buchanan, Martin. There was a lot of top quality kids, and what's funny is, like, even the best. If you thought one guy was the best, he didn't even win the tournament. It was so tough. The guys were getting taken out. So we were unofficial 7th. They only placed them out to 6. So we won the blood round Rumble in Arizona. Thank you. Yes, that's correct. We won the blood round match. and we ended up losing the, I guess it's the match to get into the console semis. So anyway, under normal circumstances, top eight, we were top eight. We were seventh or eighth. They didn't let us wrestle that last match, so we had two losses, like 5 wins, something like that. It was a huge tournament. It's like it might even been 6 wins. There was like a 128 man bracket. It was huge, and if it wasn't 128, it was easily a 64. Anyway, enough about that. Trent's a great wrestler. He's a really good wrestler. He's also not just a wrestler. I told people that in the video. I was narrating while they're rolling, and I mentioned Trent doesn't take jiu-jitsu class, but I'm his coach. So of course he's going to know some submissions. Of course he's going to be aware. He trains every single day next to jiu-jitsu guys. So while our wrestlers are wrestling, the jiu-jitsu guys are 5 feet away. Like it's not the normal wrestling room. Our room is very, very different. We have high school wrestling going on. We have Muay Thai kickboxing going on. And we have Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu going on all at the same time. And it's like that almost every night at our place. So is he familiar? Yeah, he's familiar. So that reduces the ability for Mike, the purple belt, to submit him. Trent had like a 15-pound weight advantage. 15 pounds is quite a bit. I mean, it means you're going to be a lot stronger. So, it's definitely a factor. Mike, who didn't get his purple belt through me, but is a purple belt. I vouch for his purple belt. He is very good. And it was laughable to read how so many people thought, oh, he's not a real purple belt. He wouldn't be a purple belt where they're from. I had a guy talking about his ex-guard and blah, blah, blah. He was flat on his back or something. They just don't know what they're looking at. Don't understand scrambling. Don't understand what a high-level wrestler with some exposure to jiu-jitsu can do. And a 15-pound weight advantage. And, I just thought that was funny. And then what else was funny was how many people thought I was such a prick for narrating, for talking. They all thought I was like, it's funny. I think a lot of people thought I was maybe like on Trent's side, or maybe I was on the jiu-jitsu guy's side and I wasn't there for the wrestler. I'm on one guy's side. They're both my students. They're both my guys. I'm on both of their side. I thought that shined through. And it really interesting because the video, started out, it went straight up, like a lot of views. And I got certain comments. And then it kind of died and leveled off. And then there was like a resurgence. And then I got tons of like hate mail of like, I'm a horrible person for talking. I should never talk. I don't know what I'm talking about. Like, oh my God, like just the funniest stuff from my point of view. You can't let it bother you. You just got to move on and realize these people have no clue what they're looking at or what they're seeing. And then we got this last run on that video. It got quite a few views. It was a lot of good stuff. And I was like, that's really interesting. Like, why am I getting like bad commentating? Like the commentary on it was really bad for a while. And then all of a sudden I got like tons and tons of supportive comments about how it was beautiful. You need to know both. You got to know wrestling. You got to know jiu-jitsu. You put them both together and you have a superior grappler, which is like my whole point. I know you guys know this. You guys that watch my channel religiously, you know this. This is what I preach. I mean, I'm like, there are other guys like me, but there aren't a whole lot like me that are Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts and wrestlers and do them both side by side. I mean, I've always said this. Most wrestlers that get into jiu-jitsu stop wrestling. Most of them, they still wrestle, like they train, but they usually don't stay in the sport of wrestling. They usually move on to jiu-jitsu. At least most of the ones that I've ever seen. I'm not saying I'm the only guy out there. I'm just saying there's not a whole lot of me. And then factor in there's not a whole lot that have fought MMA, and then factor in there's not a whole lot that have a YouTube channel, right? So anyway, of course I love both wrestling and jiu-jitsu, and I preach both and all the time. So and then I will say this. The title was to be provocative. It was wrestling versus BJJ, something like that. And then who wins? Of course, guys, I put that on there to get you to click. I'm not going to lie. Like I've always said that. I have to do that, guys. This is what YouTube, if you're going to be a YouTuber, it's bad enough that I don't do professional thumbnails. It's bad enough that I drop videos at 1 a.m. at night all the time. You know, I don't play the game the way I'm supposed to. I do it the way I want to do it. I do it when I want to do it. But at least I got to put somewhat of a provocative title. So hope you guys understand. Of course, who wins? I mean, that's all subjective. So anyway, so which one's better? No, guys, no. It's a totally like silly question. They're totally different, and they're both important, and you got to have them both. Like, again, in a perfect world of jiu-jitsu would modify the rule set and bring in a little more wrestling, that to make jiu-jitsu better. Either way, it's like kickboxing and boxing. You know, if kickboxing, the current state of jiu-jitsu right now, doesn't contain enough wrestling. It needs a little bit more to be to be a better grappling style. It needs to add a little more wrestling, just a little. It would be as if kickboxing would need to add a little more boxing, which means for example, in the old days, the kickboxers of old were not as good at boxing as they are today, for the most part. And I'm not saying everybody, I'm generalizing. Boxing has now gotten much, much better in Muay Thai than it used to be. And just an example, we need, we need jiu-jitsu to have a little more wrestling. But it will never be as good at takedowns as wrestling. It's just, wrestling is going to corner the market on takedowns. It's in the rule set. It's about being on top. And jiu-jitsu is not about being on top all the time. It's about being in good position at all times. And, I guess I could say the same thing about wrestling. But the point being, jiu-jitsu does have other positions that are compromising in a wrestling match, but they're great in jiu-jitsu. And, we're just that dynamic. It's never going to be as top heavy in jiu-jitsu. And wrestling will always have that over it. But I definitely think jiu-jitsu could learn a little bit more from wrestling. Could wrestling learn from jiu-jitsu? There's a few moves here or there. They're not incredibly important. There's a few moves. It helps making a wrestler a little more funky. But I don't think wrestlers have problems with funk nowadays. They're every year they're getting funkier and funkier. So wrestling's been going through a crazy evolution for the past 20, 30 years. So anyway, I love them both. So anyway, Gustavo Torres, day one away from PG. I miss Coach Brian and the gang. Sub fighter is dope though. Oh, that's nice. All right, Gustavo, go train as sub fighter. Or hopefully you're training with my buddy Tracy, or I don't know, or you might be training with Russ. So let me know who. So we got Jeff. He says it'd be like a guy with 100 skills that weighs 200 pounds who can run a 6 minute mile and lift double his weights in all lifts, opposed to a guy with 100 skills that is 200 pounds and 50% fat. I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe you're tying it with something else. Sorry, Jeff. I don't know what you mean. How much more athletic? So, with a Zhao, how much more athletic are wrestlers than jiu-jitsu guys? Okay, first question. How much more athletic? In general, they are more athletic, but it's mostly because, first off, let me say this. Wrestling has a larger pool. A lot of people may not, they think it's wrestling that makes wrestlers athletic. And that's not actually true. The first big thing is the pool. So the moment that you have a larger pool, like wrestling has more wrestlers than jiu-jitsu guys, then jiu-jitsu has jiu-jitsu guys, you're automatically, that larger gene pool, you're going to get more athletes. So when you run more competitions, which wrestling does, you're going to get more competitors, which means you're going to have more guys trying to get that gold medal, which means you're going to have the stronger, more athletic, faster, all that stuff, and harder trained, and they're going to get more involved. You're going to have more of them. And that's just a simple fact. I mean, when you come from jiu-jitsu, if you guys do jiu-jitsu, you may not be able to understand how many wrestlers there actually are. I mean, it is way more competitive in wrestling than in jiu-jitsu. There's just, and when I say that, that's not a knock on jiu-jitsu. It just means there's more participation. So, you know, in jiu-jitsu, there's people in schools and they don't compete. They just train in the gym and they don't compete at all. And, if you think about it, like what percentage of jiu-jitsu schools have guys that compete? I don't know about your school, but at my school, it is very, very low percentage. I mean, I would say it's 10% or less that actually compete. I mean, 20% or less. So if you have 80% that don't compete, that just train recreationally, they're not going to put in the extra work. They're not going to do all the things that it takes to become a champion. In wrestling, there really isn't recreational wrestlers. I mean, recreational wrestlers are probably like less than 5%. And those would be like adults at a wrestling club. They just I just like going into the wrestling room. Because if you're a kid, youth, high school, or college, you don't wrestle for fun. You wrestle to compete. And since you're competing and you're competing quite a bit, like how about every single week, every weekend, you're competing. In jiu-jitsu, you might be an active jiu-jitsu competitor if you go to a tournament once a month or once every 2 months. If you went once every 2 months and you competed in 6 tournaments a year, people would label you an active jiu-jitsu competitor for 6 tournaments a year. Single elimination. Remember, you might have 8 guys in your bracket. If you win one match and then lose your next match, you could be out of the bracket, or you say you make it to the final 4. Maybe you lose in the semis and they give out 2/3 and now you're bronze medalist. It's sometimes they don't even fight for third, right? They give out 2 bronze. So you get 2 matches. In wrestling, they'll have 64-man brackets with 32-man brackets and even bigger than that sometimes. And you lose your first match, you got to come back 6 deep just to get a 3rd place, 4th place medal. You're gonna get a lot more mat time. All these factors are huge in creating more better athletes. Now, the nature of wrestling In high school, it's a 6-minute match. In college, it's a 7-minute match. They go really fast. They have breaks. We have out of bounds, more out of bounds than jiu-jitsu does. We have restarts, more restarts than jiu-jitsu does. It means that you're going to have more sprints in wrestling. In jiu-jitsu, when you have a long match, let's say if you're a blue belt, 6 minutes. If you're a brown belt, 8 minutes. If you're a black belt, you're going to go for 10, right? That's longer duration. And you're not going to have as many stoppages. You might have a match where you never stop. So the pace is different. The runner, if you compare it to sprinting, when you sprint and you're running a 400 meter, you're going to be running that 400 meter like as hard as you possibly can. If you're going to go out there and you're going to run, 3 miles, or 2 miles, you're going to have to create a pace that you can keep up. And jiu-jitsu has a lot more pacing because of that. If jiu-jitsu matches were 5-6 minutes long and they had breaks every 2 minutes, you would see more sprinting, in jiu-jitsu. But it's just not the nature of the sport. Therefore, more slowing the pace. No need for getting too crazy and explosive. You got to save your tank for the whole 10 minutes. And, there are many, many explosive jiu-jitsu guys. So it's, but these are all factors. They're factors that make the sport and what they are. And these factors, they change the game. And that's why, sometimes people will say, and it bugs me. It does bug me because they're misunderstanding. They'll go, man, wrestlers got they're so strong and they're so explosive and they're so like this. I'm like, yeah, because that's how wrestling's taught. If you want to see wrestlers change, we want to change the animal, we got to change the environment. And then they would evolve into a different type of animal. If we made wrestling 15 minutes long with no rounds, I guarantee you wrestling would change. It would change the way people do it. And that would then change how wrestlers approach it. And certain guys wouldn't be the champs anymore. And other guys would be. What's funny is the guy who takes first under one rule set is not the guy who takes first in another rule set. Just as in when you switch from folk style wrestling to freestyle wrestling. It's not the same guy all the time. Sometimes it is in America, but a lot of times it's not. So, all right. I just went on a whole tirade on, wrestling, talking about it, but and their athletes and their explosiveness and all that. All right, I'd like to mention That Coast. Thank you so much for the $50 super chat. So he wanted to say thank you for the Ghost Escape, which I use at the gym and successfully in competition. You probably have a lot of us out here who you've helped. Cheers. All right, brother. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. So let me know if I can answer anything else. Okay, BJJ better on the grass, wrestling better on pavement. Once it's on the ground, BJJ over wrestling. That I do agree with you. So that's a good, think about that, guys. I'm going to read that one more time. BJJ better on the grass. Because even if you have a situation, let's say you're getting down, and you get even a wrestler taking you down on the grass, it's less likely you're going to get KO'd. You get a big, strong wrestler take you down on the grass, now you're on the ground, your jiu-jitsu is probably going to come into play. If you're out on pavement, wrestling might have an edge just because of the environment. See, there you go again. I kind of brought it up earlier in a different situation, but you see, the environment, if you're out on concrete, man, the way jiu-jitsu is done today with a lot of guard pulling, may not be the best idea in the world. You might pull guard. You got the back of your skull, touching the concrete. You got a guy on top of you, dropping elbows and punches and maybe even bashing your head in the concrete. It's not going to be fun. So you better get that sweep and that submission right away. But once it's on the ground, definitely we're talking about fighting. Yes, a wrestler can strike, but if you have jiu-jitsu, it is the key to the problem. It's the solution to the ground problem. A guy throwing strikes at a good jiu-jitsu man is basically going to expose his limbs. It's been proven multiple times over many, many years in MMA. I know that some people think that once you go out on the street, it magically transforms into a ground and pound destruction for the top guy, but no, that's not true. You've got a lot of guys that can't do that. One fight that just popped into my head, if you guys have not seen it, it's a great one to watch. Crazy Horse Bennett. If you guys remember Charles Crazy Horse Bennett, I hope I got the name right. Yeah, I believe I did. He got in a fight with, maybe one of you guys in the comment section can help me remember. Jiu-jitsu guy, Brazilian. Shit, I'm having trouble remembering his name. Damn it. It's been too long. But they got in a fight backstage at Pride. And Crazy Horse Bennett, it's hard to pick a guy that could do better ground and pound. You know what I'm saying? So a guy that can seriously ground and pound. Anybody, can you guys help me out with that Brazilian dude's name? Let me see if I can find it. I'm trying to scroll all the way down. Looks like nobody was able to get it yet. I don't want to, if you guys go into YouTube, you'll be able to watch it. Just put in Charles Crazy Horse Bennett. Anyway, he ends up getting choked unconscious. Now, granted, he was going against a high-level jiu-jitsu guy, but still. And the example is the average dude on the street that starts wailing on you in the street. No, it wasn't Vanderlei. It was someone else. It was a jiu-jitsu coach. So if someone can look that up real quick. Actually, I'm going to have to look it up. This is bugging me now. I've been having problems with my memory a little bit. So I got to see if my computer's not working. Well, I guess I'm not going to be able to. So anyway, he ended up triangle choking him. And who would want to be underneath Charles Bennett? I mean, that's not where any of us want to be. So, yeah, definitely Vanderlei was there. It was the jiu-jitsu coach, Cristiano Marcelo. Thank you. So CJ Odendahl got it. He's the one. Ding, ding, ding. Cristiano Marcelo. That's the guy. So, beautiful triangle. Ended up putting Crazy Horse unconscious. So, yeah. So, then you got comments saying, I don't want to be under Brock Lesnar. I mean, you definitely don't want to be under Brock Lesnar. But, again, Brock is an enormous guy. Enormous. A guy that even made Frank Mir look small when he was on top. So, what's up, Evans? So, anyway. Some of these questions are just ridiculous. Oh, is this box? Is psychosis? Is that box? Oh, man. Yeah, that coach talking about Brock Lesnar still has carotid arteries. You slide out, take the guy's back. But then again, he said, you better be a big enough dude any little dude gets on Brock's back, you're probably going to get yanked right off. So, anyway. Sample legend with the oil checking question. Is it sexual harassment? No, it is dirty. We do not teach it. We joke about it, but it is not taught. Grabbing onto a butt cheek is one thing. Putting your fingers inside of orifices is off limits at my gym, and I do not teach it. It's only going to be at the end of a joke. So, anyway. Okay, here's a good one. Did Ryan Hall have a bad day in his last fight? Or is his MMA jiu-jitsu overrated? He had a bad day, obviously. It didn't go his way. That's a pretty bad day. He also, I believe he mentioned, again, I'm not like on the internet, scouring the internet for all the info, but I did hear that he got hurt, right? Like he said he got hurt right off the bat. So he was trying his Imanari rolls and his opponent was ready for it. So he may have had a bad day, partly because he was hurt a little bit, but that's beside the point. Big problem with Ryan Hall is not good at takedowns. Again, and some people would point to his build, his genetics. And again, guys, no, it's technique. His jiu-jitsu is great. He doesn't have takedowns. He needs takedowns. Would I try to make Ryan Hall try to turn him into a Jordan Burroughs? No, I wouldn't try to turn him into a Jordan Burroughs, but why can't Ryan Hall be a little bit more like Ben Askren? Ben Askren is, joked about quite a bit in the wrestling community about how his athleticism is terrible, how he's slow. It was always said like Ben Askren's slow. He's not very explosive. But you know what? The guy figured out how to wrestle for him. He's funky Ben Askren. Ryan Hall could be funky Ryan Hall when it comes to wrestling. He can still develop his takedowns and his abilities. But he hasn't. He spent a lot of his jiu-jitsu years pulling guard, and I'm sure he can do some takedowns, but he's found his way, and his way is to pull guard and Imanari roll. So, anyway, that's it. That's all I got. He had a bad day, yeah. He needs to get better at takedowns, or he better make his entries better into his Imanari roll, which I don't think he's going to get much better at that, personally. So, anyway. All right, let me move on. So, Rossetti wants me to teach more self-defense. I'll try. Do I teach rubber guard? No. I'm just gonna go lightning round right here, guys. Max Burner, don't take the Vax. It's poison. No, Max, you need to follow the science. Sorry, brother. Anyway. Kamzat Chimaev. Yes, he's amazing. There's an Iranian wrestler named Yazdani. Yes, he bases his system on the underhook rather than shots. From there, he shoots knee taps, throw bys, duck unders. Is it better strategy for BJJ? It's not a better strategy. It's what you want to work on and what you're good at. I love Yazdani's techniques. If you want to do Yazdani's techniques and get good at them, try them out. But it won't be for everyone. Michelle Nicolini won 13 World Championships without takedowns and got effed up in one of her FC for 5 rounds. Yeah, it's not the best way to go. Anyway, do you think Ronda Rousey would still be a champion if she learned high-level striking to pair with her judo? Yeah, I think so. She definitely needed that pretty bad. How would ADCC grappling stack up to Sambo and MMA? I think quite well, personally. I think that ADCC grappling is better than Sambo. I do. I mean, I'm a little biased, guys. I like Sambo. I think it's great. I think it's a good style, but it is more of a wrestling style than it is a submission style. Sambo guys practice a whole lot more throws and takedowns than they are at finishing. So that's why I think, and when it comes to ADCC, a lot of the ADCC guys are fairly good at takedowns. Lots of wrestlers. I do believe they are the superior submission artists. And I'm not trying to say that there aren't good Sambo guys. There are, of course. But, yeah, I think they would do pretty well. But that doesn't mean, this goes back to it's the art, or excuse me, it's the fighter, not the art. So the guy who's in command. So not the martial art. So what's my go-to guard pass? I like a little Sanchez. First one that popped into my head. Watch the Sanchez guard pass on my YouTube channel. What BJJ gyms do I recommend in Orange County? Go check out Russ Mura's sub fighter, Isaiah. He's one of my good friends. He's not too far. He's right there where you are. Go check out Russ Mura. Russ is a wrestler. He's very similar to me. Very similar. So great jiu-jitsu, outstanding jiu-jitsu, great wrestling. He's got it all. MMA experience, you should go to Russ. So, all right. Where can you learn Greco wrestling as an adult? A bunch of BJJ schools, but no wrestling schools. Yeah, they're just, wrestling is for youth, high school, and college. After that, if you're not making a run for an Olympic team or a world team, what are you doing? You're not going to find a place to learn how to wrestle. But there are a lot of wrestlers in the youth, high school, and college level. So, Max, what about all the people in the hospital with severe side effects from the vax? We shouldn't really even be going into the COVID situation, but I'll say it as fast as I can. There are people that get side effects, Max. It happens. It is statistically going to happen. When people take a vaccine, you're going to have side effects. That does not mean that the vaccine doesn't work. It is proven to work. It is helping people all around the world. There are billions, and there's multiple billions. I haven't checked, but I would not be surprised if there are 3 billion vaccinated people on the planet right now. It's got to be upward close to that. It is not killing people like the anti-vax movement likes to say. But people are dying of COVID, and I have met people that have died of COVID. I have people I've known that are gone now, not here. So it's real. Anyway. Yeah. Look, politically, Max, I'm middle of the road, brother. I'm not a liberal. I'm not a conservative. I'm middle of the road. Guess what? But I'm also big on science, so I go by the data. The data is showing that the anti-vaxxers are just not correct. Sorry if you guys are. And I'm not saying that I want to force vaccines on people. I don't believe we should. But, sorry, the science shows right as of right now, until the vaccinated people start dropping dead, it's working. So, why am I talking about that? Let's move on. Who has the worst ears, wrestlers or BJJ? I would say jiu-jitsu guys at the high levels. A lot of wrestlers will wear headgear, but wrestlers have messed up ears too. But I've seen the nastiest ears in BJJ at the highest levels. They seem to not want to take care of them at all. So anyway, I don't know if that's true. So, have I ever been in a street fight? Yes. Sorry, I'm not going to give details right now. Oh, Max, you are just you're like I'm sure everybody else has like already read all of his comments. All right, Max, I'm done with you, brother. I tried, but I gave you an opinion. If you don't agree, that's okay. We can disagree. So, all right. Do I think John Jones is going to be the heavyweight champ? I would not think so. So I have not seen John Jones in many years now. I don't know what he's doing, but can't be good for his career. So, George Frank, any advice for sore neck? Getting stacked and snapped? That's not good, dude. You got to rest and you should stretch. But if it just happened, I would not be stretching it. If it just happened, I would be icing it. I might go for a very light massage when you feel ready and loosen that area up. And then when you feel ready, I would stretch. So let me move on. Yeah, thanks guys for trying to help. Sorry to go off topics. Thoughts on powerlifting and wrestling? Oh, I think it's great, Common. I think that explosive lifting is very good. When I started doing, maybe not powerlifting, but like Olympic lifting, like cleans, when I started doing cleans, actually in powerlifting too, because I was doing deadlifts, not so much bench press, but I felt like, man, I learned a lot about lifting through Olympic lifting. So I think it's huge. I have not watched the American Jiu-Jitsu story on Flow, that coast. Sorry. I'll check it out though. I'll try to. Thoughts on using the TP straightening legs finish for the triangle, especially for finishing the armbar inside the triangle. It's a good move. It can't be neglected. If you guys aren't familiar with the TP, or when you basically scissor with a triangle and pull that head hard, you can finish guys with that, and that's nothing new. That thing's been around forever. Got to watch out for it. I mean, it's not something I practice myself or do all too often, but I'm very aware of it, and it can work. And once you scissor like that, and you get a good pull on that arm, you can arm bar like Chris is saying. I think it's good. So anyway. All right, thoughts on the leg lock and when you should start learning. I think a leg lock can be learned very, very early on. Obviously, in a perfect world, sometimes you show up to your first class and they're teaching leg locks. So you're going to learn a leg lock as your first move. Like that's happened at my academy many, many times. I'll get a white belt first day. He'll come in on a leg lock class and I'm like, hey, dude, this isn't usual. Like, I wouldn't want you to learn a leg lock on your first day, but you know what? I'm not going to change the class for you. Like, I got all these guys that got to train. So guess what? You're going to learn a leg lock today. If you commit to this game and you sign up, then we'll all fill in the gaps of the other stuff that's much more important, like learning how to keep your balance, learning what the positions are, learning how to escape things. So whether it be the mount or positional escapes, but I do think that leg locks can be learned fairly early. They just have to be taught properly and shown how to not injure someone. So, any ideas on how to stand up? MMA Shredded Jeff Chan has a good video on it. How to stand up. I'm not sure if you mean, Max, if you mean like from the bottom, like in wrestling, or if you mean how to stand up in an MMA fight, like how to stand. Not sure what you mean. Street self-defense with video tutorials. I don't really watch too much. Please stop. So I'm sorry. I don't study a huge amount of other YouTubers. There's so much time that I'm as busy. My life is crazy busy, guys. I'm like, I used to be able to watch more, but I don't anymore. Plus, I have a girlfriend and she takes up some time, and it's tough. I hate to blame it all on the girlfriend, but that's just a part of it. I would have more time. So I'm sure you guys understand. Anyway, guys, it's getting late. I love you. So, I will take one more question. One more. Okay. Who's got a question? Impose will, what was it? You asked a question? I must have missed it. Okay, if you have a short amount of time to prepare for wrestling, should I focus more on technique or endurance? Short amount of time. So let's talk. Impose will. Let's say you have, like, wrestling season for high school is on its way. So let me break it down. We will have the very first week of December. I'm not going to look at any more questions, guys. So I'm just going to go straight to this question. The first week of December, we have a wrestling tournament called the Novice Tournament. Okay? The Novice Tournament is for straight beginners only. So that's it. Only beginners. It's supposed to. So now we're getting these new kids from the high school coming in, and they don't know anything. So we're going to start on October 1st. So October 1st, I have basically 2 months. I have 2 months to get these guys ready. So I don't know if that's what you mean. We have 2 months to get a guy who knows nothing ready for his first competition. So what are we going to do? Are we going to focus on technique or endurance? Well, of course we're going to focus on both. But every single day, we are going to be doing probably about three takedowns that are offensive, what I would call offensive. We're going to be working on a double leg. We're going to be working on a single leg and possibly a high crotch. Offensive shots. We're going to be working on a snap down. So that's 4 things to do on your feet. We're going to be working on snap downs. We're going to learn how to down block and sprawl so that when our opponent shoots on us, that we can go behind them. We are going to show them probably what we call punch it, which is mostly called a cow catcher in most places. It's one of the very early techniques we like to teach. Instead of a sprawl, pushing the head and going behind, you can get somebody wrapped up in a front headlock, grab their chin, get an underhook, throw them over to their back. Cow catcher. We're going to probably show that technique. We're going to, on top, we're going to show a couple breakdowns, probably an ankle breakdown, tight waist ankle. We're probably going to show a bump and chop. We might show a spiral ride. Usually the kid is going to fall in love with one of those. Probably a bump and chop or an ankle breakdown. And then he's going to learn how to grab a 2-on-1. He's going to learn what an Iowa ride is. After he uses the Iowa ride and the 2-on-1, we're going to teach him a half Nelson. We're probably going to teach him a chicken wing. how to run a chicken wing properly. We're probably going to teach them a cradle from the top position. On the bottom position, we're going to teach him how to build his base. We're going to teach him how to stand up. We're probably going to teach him how to sit out. And we're going to teach him how to switch. This is basically, in a nutshell, what we're going to be doing for 2 months. We're going to be working on all those moves. So that's a lot of technique that I've got to cram for the test so that when he goes out to his first competition, he can win and he knows what to do in just about every position. I didn't even mention bridging off of his back. He's going to learn how to fight off of his back. We are going to put them on their back and we're going to have them fight off their back. They're going to be doing sprints. They're going to be doing push-ups. They're going to be doing pull-ups. They're going to be doing squats. And they're going to be in great shape in 2 months. It's like a boot camp. So now if I have a kid who's grossly overweight, which I will have a few, they may not look like they're in very good shape, but they'll be able to wrestle a match. So that's pretty much it. Okay, that coast. Last question. Have you had to use, guys, that coast dropped another $5 super chat. So I gotta like oblige. Have you had to use your training outside the gym? Thank you for all your hard work and on your channel. You do a great job. Cheers. Thank you. Yeah, I've kind of told the story multiple times. So I know a lot of the guys probably have already heard the story. I won't go into super deep into depth of it, but I was robbed by 3 guys in ski masks back in like 2005 at my apartment in the parking lot. So I kind of got jumped. I had to do a little bit of kung fu fighting. I didn't really beat their ass, but they didn't beat mine. And that's all I'm going to say. They had weapons. I basically just fought to get the hell out of there. And, it is what it is. So, what else can I say? I mean, like, you know what I used? I clinched. I kind of used, it's kind of hard to explain because in wrestling, you and judo, if somebody was doing judo, like my boy Jeff, he would know what I mean. When you have that kind of, most wrestlers don't do foot sweeps, but judo guys are much, much more adept at doing foot sweeps. I kind of like pushed him and almost like skipped and foot swept at the same time. And when I shoved him, he fell so easily because they don't have balance. They're not trained. They were kind of like gang members. But, I used that. I used that double leg. I double legged the guy, picked him up on my shoulder and chucked him. And then I had another guy climb on my back. And I basically got some hand control and cut off like a wrestling match. So, and then I ended up with, just a little scratch. I had like a scratch going across my face, down my lip. But that was about it. So, anyway. What's up, Max? I don't know what your deal is, brother. I really wish you would, find peace in this world. I never said they were dark, but anyway, I said they were in a gang, and they were. If you want to know, they were Mexican, but no, they weren't black, and I don't know why you'd even bring it up. So, anyway, you got issues, brother. You got issues. I really, I wish you well. I don't, people don't like people like you because of the shit you say. And, a lot of us get fed up with you and stuff like that. But really, I wish that you would just, find peace in some way because you got some issues. But, I wish you well. Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys so much. Sample, I'm sorry, brother. We're going to have to wait till next time. I hope I can get my computer fixed. I have a video to upload, but I've got to get my computer working so I can upload. So by tomorrow, I have 2 videos to upload. So thank you guys. I'm bringing back Majid, and then I also have a cool little tiny trick that I showed tonight, and just to Megan. So Megan's going to come back. If you guys like Megan, cute little Megan will be on the next one. All right. We'll see you guys next time with more great stuff. Thank you guys. Take it easy.